Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about I've called this window the Collins Expanded Coaching Window. And the idea is as we learn the skill of coaching, which sits in this box here, there we go, sits in that box there, that we learn the skill of coaching to influence the environment around us. So in organizations, we want to influence leadership, we want to influence management, we want to influence the workforce by using mentorship as a skill set. And then when things are stuck there or people can't change, they might need a medical support or intervention or a therapeutic intervention. And the idea is that we work in all these areas. We take a view of everything around us. So we use coaching and mentorship as a skill set to influence the culture of the environment. Now, the culture of the environment over here is you need to kind of take into account the organizational culture or the culture of the environment, which country you're in, which type of organization you're in, which type of institution you're in. Are you in a banking institution? Are you in a government institution? Are you in a medical institution? Are you in an academic learning environment institution? Are you in a first world country? Are you in a third world country? Are you working within the Muslim community? Are you working within a Christian community? Are you working within a Jewish community? And to kind of have a consideration of the culture that you're working in and the way that people work around there. Then we need to look at the history of the organization or the individual's history, their past. A lot of my personal history was the environment and the schooling system that I went into was very ABC, action, behavior, consequences. We used to be caned at school if we got things wrong. So it was a real fear-based environment. If you wrote your exams at the end of the year and you failed, you have to repeat them. And when working with individuals and clients and organizations, you need to understand the history of that organization and how they got there. So, for example, my rehab in Johannesburg has been running for 20 years. We have a lot of history, institutional history about what works and what doesn't work. And we've needed to change as we go along. So the structure of our organization has needed to change. When people are really kind of unwell and need contained and antisocial behavior and things like that, the structure of the environment increases. Unfortunately, a lot of people have been using substances, have been criminalized, and they get thrown into jail, or they have criminal records because of the laws, and their behavior in society has been frowned upon and stigmatized. Other people with kind of dual diagnosis issues sometimes need to be hospitalized or something, and therapy can be very prescriptive and tick boxy, whereas as we move up into this area, it becomes much looser, and the individual has a lot more agency in their life. And so if you want to look at this as a continuum as well, this could be kind of positive psychology, and this could be kind of wound-based psychology. So that's kind of forward the action, deepen the learning, positive well-being stuff. And this can be kind of wound-based, stuck in the past. Something in the past needs to be resolved before the individual can move on. And often with people, when they first come into early recovery, the environment around them needs to be quite contained to support them as they then develop a new personality and persona and how they're going to interact in the world. And people have often had bad experiences with these types of institutions. Like a lot of people don't resonate with the 12-step program or faith-based organizations, and you need to take into consideration the individual's experience when assessing or working with them. So the lens is to kind of zoom out and to look at the whole thing from the outside perspective and consider what works for the client and to work in this kind of area here. So how can the individual take leadership and ownership of their life? How can they take agency and start to manage their life? And what sort of environment can be around them to support them in that, and how can they also then support others in that? So the difference between coaching and mentoring: coaching says, I don't know how to do this, but I can support you in finding a way to do this. Mentorship is, this is what I did, this is how I did it. What is it that you're going to do, and how are you going to do it? So good mentors can say how they did something and then let someone, the mentee, work out how to do it for themselves, as opposed to saying, I did it like this, you must do it like that too, which is a real command, control, tell paradigm. Coaching doesn't really doesn't have to know what's going on. So in terms of recovery and lived experience, somebody who hasn't got lived experience with a substance can still be very helpful in assisting people that have. You just need to understand the kind of the limitations of it and how to set up the conversation. There's a real false belief out there that you have to be one to help one, and that restricts a lot of wisdom from the medical world and from the therapeutic world. And so a coach's responsibility with a systemic lens, been looking at the whole picture, needs to kind of understand the relationship that the person has with all these areas, and then as well how that person is interacting with leadership and management of that organization. So if you're running a treatment center and you're helping people, leadership and management need to understand what the client's experience is like within our facility. So, for example, our facility in Johannesburg is it's a public benefit organization, so it needs to benefit the public. The majority of South Africans in it is English is the fourth language, so the majority of people are speaking Zulu or Xhosa or Afrikaans. So English is the fourth biggest language there, which is a small minority, and a lot of the therapeutic work is delivered with a Western lens to it, and that also needs to be taken into consideration, particularly when working with communities, to create a bottom-up approach. The community has the answer. So as a coach working in this environment, you need to be cognizant of the fact that you're possibly coming from a different culture. So that these are all sorts of things that need to be considered when creating a culture of recovery or a culture of resilience. So these tools can be worked in a culture of addiction or within a culture of adversity. So organizations can be very kind of stressed, and people need to learn resilience within that organization. And as people move along, as the system and the individuals change, the organizational cultural change. And as a coach, you want to be able to be driving change from a bottom up. So we're moving away from a command, control, tell paradigm to one of creative, co-creative, collaborative conversations. Anyway, that was a nice 10-minute video. I hope this has been helpful, and so just remember to zoom out and to have a look at the whole picture. Thanks for watching.